Hello and welcome along to another Lego vlog. Now in this week's vlog it's all about minifigures. Let's go! Good morning and welcome along to vlog 65. Another start to another week. In fact, it's not actually the start of the week, it's Tuesday. Monday, yesterday, was taken up with the tax return. Now, it takes a little bit of time just to pull all the figures together and just, go through the HMRC website and get it all filled in, just double check and make sure it's correct before you submit. So I spent most of the day doing that. It's quite nice actually because it was sort of relaxed. I didn't feel pressured or rushed. So that was all good, but it just meant that sort of yesterday there wasn't really anything exciting to film. So I thought I'd start the vlog today. But last night I did manage to make a start on another brick store file. And this brick store file is looking mainly at minifigure parts. Let me turn some light on. So we've got here 235 items, 124 lots. Now mainly sort of minifigure heads, torsos, legs, all of that, all the sort of separate components. Trying to think, yeah, I did find a complete minifigure, this Castle 128, which is quite nice. There was actually a reissue of this minifigure, a reissue of the torso, and that's more valuable, but this is the older one. Seems a bit weird that, doesn't it? The older one is worth less. The newer one is worth more, maybe more rare, possibly. So, as you can see, still plenty of space on the desk, but I ran out of time last night simply because more orders came through. Now, over the weekend, using Brickmetrics, I did a price increase. Simply because, again, we've got we're on 18,000 lots, just over 18,000 lots. We've got quite a variety in the store. And I decided, you know what, now's the time just to start increasing those prices just a little bit. And Monday came along and I had no orders whatsoever. And I felt a bit panicked. Had I increased them too much is pricing the main factor and no orders. But yeah, just a weird thing really, because Monday evening the orders did come in. And I'm just packing up one of them now. I've had an early start this morning actually to get to this. Now this is one order. As you can see, it's quite large, quite a large number of lots. And look at this, loads of tyres. I think there's like 3 boxes. I cleared me out of those particular ones, and there's another batch over here. Load more tyres there, and of course the main wheel parts there as well. So a really nice order that. Thank you very much. I've already picked and packed the other orders that came in, so they're all done. Right, Tuesday then. What else is on the agenda for today? Well, unfortunately, main part of the day is going to be spent on the other project. The deadline is looming. I've only got sort of 2.5 weeks left, I think, to get that project finished. So what I might do, this vlog might actually go over 2 weeks. And if it does, it's only because I've spent so much time doing that project that there hasn't really been any other content. And I don't want to, make it too boring, obviously. So we'll see how the week pans out. I think I am sort of conscious that I want to get the Brick Arena stock integrated. And I've kind of got a little plan for the weekend in terms of getting down in the chapel and finding the remainder of the stock that's left on the BSX file that came from Brick Arena, and trying to get all of that out up into the house so that we can process it, and then hopefully in the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, depends how much there is actually, we can finish that job off. That would be awesome, and that's kind of sitting alongside this main project. So I'll spend the daytimes sort of doing the project, and then the evenings doing the Brick Arena integration. that also depends on how I'm feeling, because obviously that's quite long days, and you know, I'm conscious that I've got other things that I need to be doing, and I don't want to time myself out too much. But we'll see. Right, that's the kind of plan. So let's get cracking. Good afternoon. It is Tuesday, and today's main task has been these minifigure tubs. Now, this is the stack of tubs that's been to the left of my desk for quite some time. Most of it is from Brick Arena. However, some of it has been my own stock that I've had for quite a number of years, to be quite honest. Minifigures was never really something that I really got into, but for the past couple of years I've been working my way through these tubs. Now, there was a lot more when I first started doing this, but there's still some left, and I need to get them sorted out. So what you can see here on the right hand side, there's about 4 tubs there that came from Brick Arena. It looks like it was the sort of mixed minifigure parts that were there ready for either categorizing or just straight up adding to the store. But none of this is inventory, none of this was in the Brick Arena file. So all of this is sort of new stock that needs to be added. I should say it is used, it's all used, but it's new to me. Now, the other 2 tubs, the one on the very top and this one here on the floor, contain part complete minifigures. Now, this was from an old system that I used a couple of years ago. The intention was that we were going to replace the missing parts and build up these minifigures to make them complete. Now, in some cases, it's absolutely worth it. There's been some Star Wars, some Lord of the Rings, minifigures that have ranged in price from sort of 10 to 20 to even £30, and it's always worthwhile just trying to find the missing piece. It could be a head, it could be an arm, you know, you name it. So any minifigures like that that we identify as being quite valuable, we put them to one side. I've got a bag of them, and we add the missing part to a wanted list, and then when I'm purchasing, every now and again you pick up the missing piece and you can complete a minifigure. Simple as that. Doesn't take up a lot of room because there aren't that many. But the rest of them, I took the decision to effectively break them down and just sell the parts, and that's primarily what I'm doing. This example here is a Lord of the Rings minifigure, but you can see there's no head, there's no hair piece, there's no hands. The legs just look like dark brown, standard short legs. So that'll just be a quick check, you know, is it worth completing? Probably not. So we'll just list the torso. We'll find some hands and we'll list the torso, because I have over here my trusty container with all my hands, arms, all different colours. I don't have everything. Distinct lack of dark grey arms, light bluish grey hands, dark green hands. I know those because they're on the wanted list, so I know I don't have any. But I'm working my way through them. We're using the new camera with BrickLink in Brick Store, which is working really, really well because it makes finding these parts really, really quick. So that's a bit of a lifesaver. Once identified, we add them to the Brick Store file, and then I drop them into these pots. Now, each of these pots will normally contain a couple of torsos, maybe a pair of legs, a couple of different coloured heads, and maybe, you know, the odd accessory or headgear. And the reason for that is that most of these parts I don't have in my store. I'm not checking, but I kind of know that most of them I don't have in the store, which means when I do the consolidation in Brick Store and I import my store and then bring in the remarks, most of those will be empty. And if they are, I can effectively take that whole tub and just pour it straight into one of these. Now, these are the containers that I've been using for, well, since I bought Brick Arena. This is how Keith used to store the sort of minifigure parts, accessories, things like that. And I've just carried on basically because they take up a lot of room, and I can actually get quite a high number of lots in all of these. This one is the latest one I'm currently working on, ZG14. There is quite a lot of room in here. Let me just move this empty one. So even though, you know, as you look around, you think, oh, there's quite a bit of stock in there, there's loads of physical space, and that's what I'm after, the physical space. I pretty much almost need to fill each one of these little compartments. I've spread it out as I've been building it up, but effectively I will drop one of those little tubs straight into here and label it. So ZG14, these ZG containers have got 24 different compartments, and I sort of number them from the back. The back left is number 1, and we go along the back, so from 1 all the way up to 6, and then we start again here and we go from 7 to 12 and so on. And there's 24 compartments, so I know exactly which compartment the stock is in, and then it's just a quick matter of just having a quick rummage to pick out the correct part. So do sort of think about what we're putting in. I try not to put anything too small in. It does happen, but I try not to. I think about how it's going to be picked later on in its journey before putting them away. So that's what I'm up to. That's ZG11 there. That's completely empty. And I've got about, how many have I got? A quick look. I think there's another 3 that I've got that are completely empty. So I've actually got quite a lot of space for all of this. And if we do find a particular city torso, it's mainly city ones, where I've got quite a big quantity, then they'll just end up in, you know, one of the Reiko drawers over there where there's a bit more space. Simple as. I don't feel precious about moving minifigure stock and putting them in the main drawers or anything like that. It's just convenient the way it is at the moment to do it this way. It also makes it a little bit quicker for me when I do the consolidation. So that's all good. Right. Well, this is going to be my task for the rest of the afternoon, I think. This morning again was the secret project. I hope I don't let anyone down when this goes live, you know. But don't. It's just another project I've got to work on. That's all. So again, we're a couple of weeks away from that. But I have got quite a lot. There's quite a lot to get through here. I think a couple of these probably contain rejects, but I have to check them to determine whether or not they are. One of them is accessories, the other one's the heads that you can see. We've got these 2 small boxes of mixed part complete minifigures, and then this blue box actually contains complete minifigures, but none of them have been checked. They have been identified, but they need to be checked for quality and just to make sure that we have got the right minifigure. Every now and again you find one that's got the wrong hands, or the head isn't quite right, and if that's the case, quick decision: do we go and find the part, or do we just break up the minifigure and sell the individual bits? So they're the 3 main containers I'm working through, along with all the accessories. So it will take me a bit of time. I'm certainly not as quick as other people are when it comes to checking these things. I know I'm not going to say I'm more careful, but I do tend to double check everything as best I can to try and eliminate any errors. I have sent out minifigures before where customers have come back to me and said, hey, there's a bit of damage on here, or you know, there's a crack, and I just simply haven't noticed. It's not me trying to, you know, pass off a good condition minifigure when it's actually a poor condition minifigure. I try to describe them as honestly as I can, but I know in the past I have made mistakes, so I'm trying to check these as best I can. And maybe when I do another batch and I've got a bit more time, I might show you just the checks that I do, especially with the torso. They're the most common ones. Oh, and just as I remember, this was let me put this in the light. This was torso and head that couldn't be identified, and I stuck it under the camera, and it did find a minifigure head, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it did, but then it just looked a bit off. When I pulled the minifigure head off, realised it was a fake torso, and then when I looked inside the top, there is no Lego logo, and realised that whole thing was fake. And then I found another head and another hand. That hand you could just really tell because of the colour. So those all go in the bin. And I suppose that's just one of the things that happens when you're dealing with this many minifigures. You're going to get the odd fake one. And again, that's another reason for me sort of just taking my time a little bit, just to make sure that, you know, I don't accidentally upload anything that's fake. Right, I best get cracking. Okay, so I'm now starting to put away all of those minifigure accessories, and as you can see, I've got a couple of the containers open over here on the side, with a third one just here, and then I've got a few more sort of dotted around. Simple reason for that is I'm consolidating, and some of the parts that I got out I've already got in stock. The majority, however, are all new lots, and they're going over here in ZG14, and that's filling up quite nicely. Nearly, how far through am I? Actually, I can't tell because I've reordered the brick store file, but I've only got these 2 stacks left, 3 stacks I should say. But I just wanted to quickly show you some of the gems. Now, this is a Kobe Bryant. If I can get it in focus, there we go. Torso. It's got his name on the back. Now, this was actually, it had arms, and it was connected to the minifigure legs. Now, these are the spring sort of mounted legs. I think the idea is that the minifigure stays in situ, and then you can bend the torso backwards, and the minifigure arms are slightly different. Now, it did have a sort of standard minifigure arms on it, which are wrong. It should have the sort of lengthened version with the fixed hands, and the reason for that is it's because it holds one of the Lego basketballs, the ones we use in the GBC, but it holds one of those, and the idea is that you bend the torso back and you kind of like release it, and it's like a flick, I suppose, and the basketball shoots up. That's the idea, I believe. I've only seen it in practice on a GBC, to be quite honest, but I imagine that's how they work. So I had to take the arms off, but unfortunately I didn't have the proper arms for it, and I was just quite astonished at the price. The torso on its own, without any arms, it's got a global selling price of £7.50, which is fantastic. The legs, they're pretty good as well. They're £2.80. So that was a good find. And then there was this minifigure in here. Now, forget the head, but we've got a torso, we've got a pair of legs. There are the legs. And we've got the helmet. The only piece I was missing is the actual head. So this is from a Lord of the Rings figure. I've forgotten which one it was now, but I did have a look at the head, and the head was valued at between £2.50 and £3. Now, the overall minifigure was valued about £11, and I thought, yeah, maybe we'll have a look at that. Maybe that might be worth keeping and trying to obtain the head at some point in the future. But then I broke down the parts, and actually the helmet, that's worth nearly £4. You can just see that at the bottom. I've reordered the brick store file, so we're looking at the most expensive items at the bottom. And then the torso is £3.35, and the legs, you know, £2.50. And I just thought, you know what, it's probably not worth it trying to make up the minifigure. I'll keep it as 3 separate lots. Besides that, there were a couple of small marks on the front of the torso, so there you go. We've put a comment. Don't worry about it being in the wrong column. When I do the consolidation, any comments that I put in that column get moved over to the correct comments column. It's just so that I know when you're consolidating whether the comments are new or they're from the existing stock, because that is one of the sort of odd features about Brickstore when you import your store and then you import the comments. If you've got multiple lots in your store with multiple comments, it only picks out one, so you do have to be careful, which is why I always fill out the marker column with comments for whatever I'm adding to my store. And then if it does come up with a comment from the import, I know that I need to go and double check it. So anyway, it's looking good so far. It won't take me long to add those last few bits, and then we'll have a look at the overall value. It's currently sitting at about £81, but that will change when we push it through BrickMetrics before we upload, which is the job we'll do when we're finished consolidating and putting all the stock away. So best get cracking, because I've got some other work I need to do tonight. Good morning and welcome along to Friday. Now, yes, we have jumped today simply because yesterday was filled up with the other project, and it did take, well, I spent a little bit more time on it than I normally would, and that sort of spilled over into the afternoon. But then since then, and a little bit of time last night, I've been working on minifigures once again. Now, this was the larger box of the sort of identified but incomplete minifigures, and you can see now we've made some pretty good progress. We're now sort of way over halfway through. Actually, probably about a third left of that box now. So that's really good, and we finished off the smaller box. In fact, I think the few bits that were left I've chucked in here, so that box is now gone, which has left a nice little gap right up there. I'll probably use that to put empty boxes up there, but that's good. And minifigure heads, it does look like we've got through a lot, but don't worry, there's a couple of tubs still left up here. It looks like these were sorted into male and female. So I found myself just doing this box first, and wondered why I was sort of getting quite a few duplicates. So I moved over to do some of the male heads, and it meant it was a bit easier doing this. Now, I know what you're all thinking. You're probably shouting at me going, well, why don't you just sort them out first? And I probably could, but I actually quite enjoyed just sort of picking out a random handful and just adding them in. And you can, I don't know if you can quite tell, there's sort of like one or two in each tub. And that's just the way I'm working on it at the moment. I kind of see this as a one-off job, really, because I don't think I'm ever going to get this many minifigures again. Well, not in the short term anyway. Right, so in terms of the Brickstore file, I managed to get up to 202 lots, which was really, really good. And it's only those tubs there, but 202 lots. I haven't yet brought in the store, consolidated it, all worked out any prices, but let's have a quick look now at what the prices are based on the global average. Okay, what do we reckon? £133. Not bad. Not bad. Kind of puts it into a bit of perspective though. £133. I did spend quite a few hours on this over yesterday. And it's only 133 quid. So, okay. Let's have a look at what the most valuable is. If I just sort this out and jump down to the bottom, what have we got? Yeah, there wasn't really anything really good in there. We've got a £3 Star Wars torso, a couple of torsos, but you know, we go from £3 to £2. An alien head. We've was that a complete minifigure? Yes, it was. Yeah. and again just a couple of quid. So yeah, nothing in there that was, you know, extremely rare, which is probably why the value is only £133. Now I think that will increase when I stick it through BRICKmetrics anyway. I tend to price above the 6-month average, but I will have a look at that later on once we've got it consolidated. I'm just wondering whether it'll actually be today, because I've got quite a busy day today. I had other things planned with the other project, but we'll see. Now then, orders have been pretty quiet this week, which is a little bit of a surprise, to be quite honest, but I suppose we are heading towards the middle of January. I can't remember how last year was. I thought last year's January was really good, but we only had 2 orders. I'm showing you an empty picking tray, but picking area. The orders have already been packed and bagged up. They were, well, one of them was quite large off Brick Owl actually. In fact, Brick Owl trumped Bricklink yesterday. So I got a nice big order on Brick Owl, but the Bricklink order was quite small. But that's it, just one on each platform. So in terms of sales, it's really poor. But I'm always grateful for every order that we get. So I can't really put my finger on why. Maybe it is just because it's the middle of the month. You know, maybe January this year will be a little bit poorer in terms of sales. Who knows? I know that some other sellers are having good months. So is this just due to the variety of stock that's in the store? Maybe I don't have the right parts. I mean, that's partly one of the reasons for focusing on these minifigures and minifigure parts, I should say. So we'll have to see how the weekend goes, but let's hope it does pick up. Right, it is Friday today, so it's new set Friday. So what I'll do is a bit later on, before we launch the set, I'll just quickly jump on and I'll show you which set we've chosen. It's a really good one for this week. So I will see you shortly. Okay, just a quick update on that Brickstore file. I've just uploaded it. It was 202 lots, 275 items. Now, the final Brickstore file value was £136, but after running it through BRICKmetrics, it increased it to about 155, I think it was. So about £20 increase, which is pretty good. Happy with that. And in total, it added roughly 140 new lots to the store, which I'm really happy about, because, you know, that's just lots of new parts going in. Now, the other job for this morning was new set Friday. So today we are releasing set number 11370. It's the Stranger Things Creel House. Really nice set. At first I thought, you know, do you know what? It's just a bit boring, but there's loads of playable stuff in there. It opens up. It looks really good on video. Now, of course, I've not built it. It's literally been sort of debagged from the Lego bags into our own, and it's ready to go. So absolutely brand new. And of course, that did mean that to get that set, I was up on New Year's Eve at midnight in the middle of a hosted party. I had to leave my guests and come and sit in here and place the order, which was no small feat, I have to say. It was quite difficult, but I managed to do it. I managed to get the order paid for, and you know, it arrived in pretty good time. I've had this set now just over a week, so I know that everyone's going crazy for it at the moment. The demand is really high. It's sold out on Lego's website. I think it's back ordered now till February, but we've got it for East Midlands Lego Hire. It is here. It will be going live today, so I'm pretty sure this is going to get snapped up extremely quickly, and hopefully there'll be a bit of a queue as well afterwards, but we'll see. So that's going to go live very shortly. It's lunchtime now, so I'm going to grab a bite to eat, and then I'll make it live on the Facebook group. And then this afternoon, what am I going to do this afternoon? Well, there's a few other little jobs I can do. I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace at a potential purchase, and at the moment I'm not quite sure whether to add this to the hire service or part it out. It is an additional set. I've already got it in the hire service, so it would be just an additional one, but it's quite a big set, so I've got to think about the space it's going to take up, and whether or not it's just worth parting out and adding to the store, but I'll make that decision later. Right, let's get cracking. Good morning. It is Saturday and I'm just finishing off the picking and packing of the orders that came in sort of yesterday afternoon and overnight, and I thought I'd just video this particular order. Now this is a sticker sheet from a Technic set, set 9397 I believe, from memory. Yes, I'm just having a quick look at the computer. Now it was a logging set, a logging truck, and it came as part of a job lot of used Lego, but the original builder never attached the stickers, and for each set I got a brand new set of stickers. And because the sets are quite old, it turned out that I was the only person on Bricklink selling these. No used, no new. And I set the price at £10, £9.99, and these are sold, which is great. I'm really pleased about that. So we'll package that up well along with the rest of the order. Now the rest of the order is this lovely mix of colours, plenty of 2x2 inverted slopes. Sorry, that's a 2x3. These are the 2x2, the yellow ones. And then these medium azure slopes are sort of used, and these are the new ones. And here's some more of the 2x2s. So we'll get that packed up and out the door this morning. There's just another couple of orders to post here. This particular one is a torso. I believe it's a Luke Skywalker from memory. No arms, but just to show that they do sell. So that's it for the orders. Again, pretty quiet, but we'll see how the weekend goes. The rest of the day, we're going to be doing some family stuff, I think, and some other work later on this morning. And that's about it. So I'm going to end the vlog for this week here. I think there's enough content been recorded to make up a vlog for this week. So we'll get that out, and you should see that. You should be here on Sunday seeing that, unless you're a supporter of the channel, and you should be seeing it on Saturday, hopefully, if all goes to plan. So thank you very much for watching. If you've made it this far, do appreciate all the views and likes and comments, so keep them coming, and I'll see you all next week.